Hello everyone! Today I am finally sitting down to talk about the Eurovision Song Contest 2021. I had actually filmed a video about half of the songs that are competing this year out of the 39 entries that we have right at the moment that I'm filming this video. However, after filming it, decided to rework how I was going to cover Eurovision this year. And instead of what I had originally said I was going to do, which was cover every song alphabetical order by country name and split that video in half and just touch on every song like that, I decided, you know what, since we know the semifinal 1 and semifinal 2 contenders, as well as the automatic qualifiers, plus the host country, who are in their own little category, why not cover the songs in that fashion? So this video is going to be talking about the 17 countries, although it might actually only be 16, and I'll get to that in a second. The 17 countries that are scheduled to perform in semifinal 1, which is the week in May of Eurovision. It's the first contest of that week in Rotterdam in the Netherlands for Eurovision 2021. And then I will film a separate video, which will probably come out sometime next week for semifinal 2. And then I will film a video after that, which I will talk about the big 5 countries, which, are France, Italy, Spain, Germany, the UK, as well as the host country, which is the Netherlands, which automatically qualifies every year that, they won the previous year, which is from 2019 now because the contest was canceled last year. I spend a whole lot of time in the video I filmed last week recapping. This whole contest is in a bit of a flux because it's a little strange this year having so many acts return from last year with new songs. About 70% or so of the acts this year are, I should have tallied them up in my head, I don't know the exact number, but more than 50% of countries are sending their act from last year. But there's still a handful that are choosing new acts, either internally or they had big competitions like Melodifestivalen in Sweden, for example, which is very controversial to me, as I would be of the mindset to say that in this unique circumstance, the Mamas deserved the chance to go straight through to Eurovision this year. They could have gone 1 year without Melfest, or maybe the Melfest winner just wouldn't go to Eurovision this year. They could have worked some way around that, but no, Sweden's, broadcasters couldn't do that. Yes, it's just too much of a staple of Swedish television. Similar issues arose with Norway and with Estilol in Estonia and other countries like Albania. They chose to have these national selections anyway, even though some of the countries did invite the returning, the act from last year who won last year to go at least somewhat through the competition on a bit of a speed pass. They still had to compete. And, in the case of Estonia, for example, the act from last year won again. So it worked like that for a lot of countries, but it didn't work like that for all of them. So it's a mixed bag because of that. And I will admit that it's made Eurovision a little hard to get into for me this year, as usually every year it's such a fresh crop of new faces and new songs, and it's just a whole new tapestry of songs and, people. And you don't have so much to compare it to. I mean, you're comparing, the country's entries from previous years, but when you have an artist send, especially a really good song like last year, and then they send another one this year because the contest was canceled last year, you can't help but compare the two songs. And unfortunately, there are several instances where I feel like the quality of the song they're sending this year is lacking compared to the year before. In my honest opinion, I believe the wrong contest got canceled between these two. It would have been, I think, a lot less upsetting if I saw Eurovision 2021 get canceled. Just looking at the songs that we have slated to perform. That's not to say that there are some good songs, but I'm not as impressed with the songs we are offered this year as I was last year. I really was into last year and the amount of entries that I felt were really strong. There weren't that many songs that I really disliked. This year, there's not a whole lot of songs that I vehemently dislike, but there's so many songs that I just have no feelings towards whatsoever, so much apathy. They're just songs I don't really feel the need to listen to ever again. And they don't feel that special. They feel a bit derivative at times. Like I said, it doesn't help if they send a stronger entry last year. There's only like 1 or 2 instances where a returning artist is sending a stronger song than they did last year. And I will touch on that when I cover each country. Because one of the things I'm going to do in reviewing each song is I'm going to rate it on thumbs up. Did they improve on last year? Thumbs down. Did they downgrade in quality? Or did they stay the same? And even if they're sending a new act, I will still compare them because there's just so many comparisons that you can draw between 2020 and 2021. The contests are almost the same, just slight tweaking. And that makes it kind of frustrating because I would have preferred if just everyone was sending the same song as last year. I know we would be tired of them by now, but at the same time, like, we still didn't really get to see them all performed live on the Eurovision stage. We didn't really get to see their full potential in most cases. So it would have been really exciting, but they chose to all send new songs. So, okay. I just think it's a mixed bag of a year for this contest, and I was having a hard time getting into national selection final season. So I only really listened to most of the songs more recently when they were all released in the last couple weeks. So, without too much preamble, if you're new to this channel and you don't know what Eurovision is, I'm afraid I'm not going to spend too much time harping on about the contest. It's kind of self-explanatory as I'm explaining these songs, but, you know, if you want to know more, there's other channels that explain it. Wikipedia, you know. Sorry, I just don't have time to harp on these. These videos get very long. But with all that being said, just keep in mind that I know I'm seeing some people say that this contest is really strong. I'm hearing a lot of Eurovision commentators say that. I have a lot of controversial opinion. I always have controversial opinions, you know me. I'm proud of it. But I will say that I am disagreeing with a lot of people, a record number of people on a lot of songs this year. Though I will say that with repeated listens, songs are starting to grow on me, but it's sort of like begrudgingly they're growing on me. It's like being forced to accept them. You're like, okay, I guess I've spent so much time harping on the negatives, like let's focus on the positives, but the positives are really just, you're just doing what you can to make yourself believe the song isn't as bad as it is, which is, compared to the songs I really like, still so far below quality-wise that I would accept. But you know, what can you do? These are the songs we got. Anyway, let's talk about the 17 songs that we are going to be seeing compete in semifinal 1. I will be covering these songs in alphabetical order by country name in English. I know that I think there's a running order that's already been generated for the running order of these songs, but I can't recall if that's true or not. Maybe it hasn't been pulled yet, but I'm going to be covering them in alphabetical order. Out of the 17 songs that will be competing, though, like I said, I'll get to it in a second, might very well just be 16. Only 10 songs can qualify to perform in the grand final, which is the following Saturday, the 2 semifinals. So I am going to say, out of these 17 songs at the end of the video, which 10 songs I hope qualify. My personal picks to qualify from semifinal 1. I'm hearing a lot of people say that this is the more competitive semifinal compared to semifinal 2. But I can see where they're coming from. It's definitely going to be very nail-biting for me in this semi in particular, because there are some entries that I really, really want to go through and qualify, but I could see, unfortunately, them not doing so because of popular opinion, because of who they're up against, and just the way these contests go. So I am definitely going to be a little bit more, I think, nail-bitingly watching semifinal 1, just looking at the lineup here. So the first country I will be talking about is Australia. Montaigne, or Montaigne, not entirely sure how to pronounce that act's name, is returning from last year. I will start out right by the gate by saying that I do believe that this is a downgrade in terms of quality from the song that she sent last year with Don't Break Me. Don't Break Me harkened to a lot of Sia inspiration. It felt, with the manic sort of choreography, the sort of baby facey makeup that she had that was a little bit clown ballerina. It had this quirky, oddball, childlike aesthetic that leaned into that. This year, she's going a little bit more bodysuit, you know, short pixie cut, fever dream, you know, sexy, flashy image on the stage. And I'm not entirely sure, based on the one live performance that we have seen of this song, if it's really selling it for me. It feels to me like the song doesn't really get its footing in terms of rhythm and syncopation, and it doesn't really feel like it has anything danceable to it. So I'm just not really a fan of the glitchy production. It's just very hollow, and it feels very synthetic and kind of last minute. And it just doesn't have the melody or the impact or the memorable aspects of the choreography or dancing that just lead it to be something that has uniqueness and like a real presence on stage that people are going to remember and want to put through. So I hate to say it, but I don't personally want to see Australia qualify just because of the 17 songs we have competing here. However, it is one of those countries that I definitely see likely qualification for because people like a fun dance song with fun costumes. And, you know, Montana has, I don't know, she's got that female empowerment energy. Her voice is very unique. It's kind of gritty, and I sort of like her voice, but it's just not suiting the song for me in this kind of context. It way better suited her previous entry. So yeah, I'm sorry, Australia, but I don't see you qualifying this year. I think that just looking at the lineup, it's just very competitive, and it's not a song that I'm a big fan of, so I don't necessarily want to see it qualify. The next country is Azerbaijan. Effendi is sending a song again, just like last year, and it is one of the instances where I can safely say, I believe, we have an upgrade from what she sent last year. Cleopatra, a lot of people ended up sort of sleeping on, but, you know, it was obviously made for the gays. You know, it's also very Eurovision in that how campy and over the top it was. It's the kind of song that, you know, you would only see in this kind of context. And I thought it was too much. I thought it was corny. I thought it was, but Mata Hari, which is the entry now this year, which translates to I Start a Fire in Azeri, which is also the name of a feminist icon, a Dutch exotic dancer and courtesan who was executed in World War I as a suspected spy for Germany. And apparently, you know, with her charm, her seducing charm, she was able to glean information from French officials, using her feminine prowess to glean information, using that as like a way to express feminine power, which is something that she is evoking so much so with the power of this song. I love the ethnic instrumental, the slight Eastern European, Middle Eastern flute sections really add something to this track. And it is so rhythmic, it is so compelling. I could see this being such a moment on the stage. However, I will say her choreography in the music video that we have leaves a lot to be desired. There's not a whole lot of movement. She looks fabulous. The setting is fabulous. I could see the sun behind her, the silhouettes. I could see her running with that theme for the staging, but she needs to do a little bit more with the choreo to sell it, I think, on the stage. And that's the one thing that I think is going to potentially hold it back in the semis. I'm seeing some people say they could easily see this song not qualifying, even though Azerbaijan has qualified in almost every semifinal in recent years. They've been doing really well. They have a good track record, but I see where they're coming from. This song could easily get looked over for another song with more dynamic staging and choreography. Not to mention, it's vocally a pretty safe song. You know, it's got some dynamism and power. I like the shoutiness of it, the expression of the lyrics. I don't necessarily need it to have amazing vocal gymnastics to sell it for me, but it's more of just like a really fun bop that might look better just as a produced slick pop song than it will come across on stage. And I really hope that with the right team, they can pull it off. So this is a song that I do have as one of the qualifiers that I would like to see, but it's a question mark song. You know, it really could slip, unfortunately, under the radar and not make it, which would be very unfortunate. It's not a surefire win for that semi. Belarus. Okay, so this is what I mean when we say there's very likely actually only going to be 16 songs competing in this semifinal. And I believe that the other semifinal has 16 songs as well. This is the one that had 17. Belarus sent an entry by a group called Galasti something. I honestly cannot remember what the name was. And by the way, I'm going to butcher so much pronunciation in this video. I'm sorry. One thing with Eurovision, I mean, no one can pronounce all of the names correctly. No one speaks all those languages. It's just, everyone's going to butcher stuff. Which is, it's great to see all of that, you know, language culture, but it's hard, you know. They sent an entry called Yanachu Tebya, which translates roughly into I'll teach you. This straight out of the gate, even without knowing the lyrical content, was a song I saw the video for, and I was like, not buying this. It's a horrendous song. It's honestly, it's so bland and flavorless and melodically completely flat that I don't think even if the lyrical content was good, it would have any sort of merit to it. It's just also not a genre of music that I think would do well in this contest. There's no dynamism to it. It's just a guy strumming a guitar singing with a band, but the band, it's so, if you listen to it, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to harp on it too much longer. But when I read into the amount of, when I first I saw the dislike bar at the time, there were literally 7 million dislikes. The video had not even been live for 24 hours. Compared to like, maybe like, it was under 1,000 likes at the time when I saw the video. Maybe it was under 10,000. It was such a stark, you know, like dislike to like ratio that I don't think Eurovision had ever seen before. And I was like, wow, people really hate this. There must be something more than just the musical element. And the lyrical content, I don't need to get too much into it, but this band is a 100% propaganda puppet for the far-right government, the Belarusian government, Lukashenko, the prime minister. If you're not following the Belarusian political climate right now, it is very tenuous. They are going through such upheaval with the protests and then the crackdown, with the opposition leader being exiled out of the country. There has been so much going on, and Belarus is a country, and everyone focuses on Russia as being like the big bad with the, you know, of the east of Europe, the dictator of Europe. To be honest, Lukashenko makes Putin look like small change. I mean, Lukashenko is running a military dictatorship in that country. And it's a smaller country, so it doesn't have such a big geopolitical impact on the world stage. But oh my goodness, like there's so much there. It's so much to talk about, but I don't want to get into the politics of it too heavily. Like I said, I want this video to be in under an hour. We'll see if I can get there. But the context of the lyrics, not only are they a political, you know, propaganda message of crushing dissent and submitting to the status quo, as they say in these very, very cumbersome lyrics. Keep in mind they're a translation, but, you know, still. And then there's also some very there's some misogynist stuff in there. Their past lyrics, their songs that they've put out are really problematic in terms of lyrical content. They've been openly supporting Lukashenko and the crackdown on the protests. They're bad news bears. And so, rightfully so, the EBU has rejected their entry. And as of today, March 24th, we do not know what is going on with Belarus and their participation status as of now. They technically had the opportunity to edit the song or resubmit an entirely new song by potentially even a new band. But unfortunately, the deadline that most songs were supposed to meet was March 15th. However, I think they had been in discussion to extend that for them. And there are, as I'm aware of right now as of filming this video, still ongoing talks with the broadcaster and the EBU. However, it's been several days since we've heard any sort of update, and I think a lot of people are starting to speculate that Belarus is not going to be able to pull something out in time. They're aware that even if they just scrub a few lyrics, that band is still going to be problematic for them. If they're smart, honestly, either they send Val again, justice for Val. Davidna not only was an amazing bop, but the way that they've been treated by the Belarusian broadcasters, yeah, of course you would see that kind of chicanery from a country like that. So unless they're going to send Val instead with an amazing song, I'm sure they would bring, Belarus can just skip this year. They don't need to be in our contest. They deserve to be disqualified. If you're going to put something like that and expect everything to be okay, you don't deserve a second shot this year. I don't think it feels right for them to get away with sending another entry unless, like I said, it was Val or like another, like particularly maybe a female-led group that like is definitely a little bit more palatable to Western audiences in terms of the more left-wing sort of gay-friendly atmosphere that acts like Val brought to the table compared to what they brought this year. That's the only way they can spin this PR-wise, and you know Lukashenko is not going to want to probably, you know, cave like that. It's going to make him look weak. I could see Belarus pulling a Hungary after this, and Lukashenko saying, you know what, we're not going to participate anymore, blah, 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 we're going to focus elsewhere, and make up these stupid excuses for, you know, the fact that they just don't like a very sort of homosexual contest. They basically, in their view, they don't like a, you know, queer celebrating contest that's very culturally diverse. And pan-European. So I could see, unfortunately, us losing another Eurovision staple country member like we have with Hungary in recent years, because Hungary is not participating for the second year now. They didn't participate in 2020 either. And I really am, that's a real unfortunate, because Hungary was sending some amazing songs, and it's a beautiful country just run by a complete asshole of a dictator, and you know, the homophobia, the xenophobia is just very strong with that one. It's a similar issue with Turkey. You know, a lot of other countries in Europe that don't participate, they have genuine financial issues. Montenegro just can't get the money together. Bosnia and Herzegovina, if they could, they would. I don't know why Slovakia isn't able to. They haven't participated since 2016. They seem like a slightly richer country. You know, I would assume that, you know, they could pull that together, but for some reason they just don't do it. I don't know if it maybe has something to do with, yeah, Slovakia is a bit more conservative compared to the Czech Republic, which is a little bit more of a liberal country. It might have something to do with that. Again, it depends on, you know, the leadership sometimes, but, you know, I don't know. It's a shame if we're losing some of these countries. It makes the contest shrink, and I think it's more exciting the more the merrier, you know? So anyway, that's the whole spiel on Belarus. We are likely not going to see them in this semi, and obviously I do not have them if they do come in, unless, like I said, and we will reevaluate if they send an amazing bops that are served by like queer icons like Val. We are not going to see them qualify there, definitely. I think no one would disagree with me on that one. That's like the one thing we all agreed on here. Okay, moving on, we have Belgium. Hooverphonic. Another success story for me. Last year, they sent Release Me, which was perfectly fine. It was lukewarm, slightly James Bond, orchestral, Sam Smithy. Okay, I forgot about it, like, instantaneously. We, of course, didn't really know exactly what they would do with the staging either. There just wasn't enough drama to the song to really make a stage presence. This song has the drama. It has the melody, the space for more vocal prowess. It really focuses a lot more on the female vocalist, and I am so in love with her image, with the story they're conjuring up, with the melody of The Wrong Place. Don't you ever dare to wear my Johnny Cash t-shirt. I'm sure a lot of people will ironically be wearing one while the camera zooms to them in the audience, because that lyric is so, you know, it's just such a centerfold lyric for this track. You wake me up and you think you won't need another drink. You don't want me to smoke, though I didn't stop last night. You get up because you need an organic cup of tea. You put a record on, it makes you think about last night. You're lying next to me, I don't know where to hide. I see his smiley face that makes me want to cry. What was I thinking? Because all I did was fight. You're in the wrong place. The angst really comes through about a broken relationship, and admitting how both of us kind of were broken when we met, but I'm very bitter towards you, and there's such relatability to this song. I cannot see this song slipping through the cracks. Come on, Belgium. Like, come on, Eurovision. We've got to qualify this one. This is a definite improvement, and I am 100% standing it. Okay, all right, so we're starting out on the positive side of things. The biggest success story for me in semifinal one is Croatia, and it is the flagship song that has to qualify for me. And also, a case of a country who is not sending the act that they had last year, which was someone named Damir Kedsho. I can't quite remember how to pronounce his name, with a very middling, paint-by-the-numbers, operatic Eurovision ballad, and instead serving us the most electro-pop-infused, colorful dance medley song that I think anyone could have asked for. Albina with Tick-Tock, spelled a little bit differently than Kesha's Tick-Tock. The styling of the outfits, not to mention, like, comparing it to Effendi with Samira Effendi with Azerbaijan, she knows a little bit more about how to stage choreography, especially with her backup dancers. Her backup dancers are really stealing the show here, especially in the music video. I love how even in the music video, she's always focusing on the backup dancers, or she's just focusing on, like, other people, and she's not so much the center of it. Even though she looks amazing, she's beautiful and beautifully styled. I mean, we have a real showstopper on our hands. The one thing that might hold it back is her vocals. I don't know, you know, how live how she's going to stand out. The chorus is a little bit, you know, drowned out by the thumping bass line, and it could get a little bit lost if it's not syncopated quite right, and the staging isn't done quite right, and the camera angles and all of that. So there's all these things that could go wrong that could make it not nearly as impactful, but I think this is a safe qualifier. Wouldn't you all agree? Wouldn't you all agree? Please agree. Please agree. This is such an improvement over last year, and it's like one of the few times where I'm like, okay, I prefer Eurovision 2021 to Eurovision 2020 because that Croatian song was like a definite non-qualifier for me last year. It was like, no way you're seeing the final. But this year there came to play, and I am 100% here for it. I love all of the different change-ups this song has, from the thumping bass to chorus, to the pre-chorus, to the spacey sort of electro-pop post-chorus. It's the way this song kind of is, there's so many different things in one. It's electro-pop brilliance, and so it deserves Eurodance brilliance, and it deserves a spot in the final. Thank you very much. Following in Croatia's footsteps with another huge Eurodance bop, we have Cyprus. Now, Cyprus is another big glow up. This song, so a definite improvement. We have Elena Sagrino. Sagrino. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. I know the T is probably silent, but I haven't heard it spoken through. So I'm apologize if I am butchering that. El Diablo. Similar to Fuego, we're not actually getting a Spanish song. She's just using a bunch of Spanish words like El Diablo and Mamacita to add some flavor to it. Ironically, Cyprus constantly sending songs sung with some Spanish lyrics or Spanish titles is a little strange because I don't believe that Spanish is very widely spoken in Cyprus. If anything, the big languages would be Greek, English, and Turkish. Those would be the big languages there, but I don't know, they just run with that sort of Spanish flair. It's actually a little controversial. It's gotten some, you know, Spanish Catholic people a little bit pissed off because she's invoking the devil. And I'm like, well, bring it, because we got a lot of other entries who are very, amen, people call this the religious Eurovision Song Contest. So it's kind of nice to have a, you know, fabulous dance pop song that is also a little scandalous like that. You know, singing about a familiar trope. The lyrics, there's nothing there. It's just, I fell in love with the devil, blah, 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 blah. This, I mean, I could see her all over that stage. She probably will be styled exquisitely. You know, I mean, this has that it factor. This song has that it factor. It's punk, Miley Cyrus, Zara Larsson, Tove. Like, it's that sexy, you know, avant-garde female provocateur in the bodysuit, just like serving it all over the stage. That energy is going to sail this song right through the semifinal, and I do not think that there is any debate about that. I mean, she would have to really bomb it for it to not make it. Okay, moving on, we have Ireland. We have Leslie Roy, who is returning. Last year, she had Story of My Life. This year, we have a song called Maps, an inspirational song about searching all around the world for that place, that destined path that you are meant to follow. My soul is a map, my heart is a compass. I am the road. There's only one way to go. This is the way back home. She triumphantly, you know, in the music video, expresses that she looks like she's on an LL Bean sponsored hiking trip through the Irish wilderness. This is a perfect example of neither an up or down in terms of quality improvement. Story of My Life was fun. If anything, I would honestly be a little bit more inclined to say this is a minor thumbs down compared to last year, because Story of My Life, although cheesy as hell, had just a really catchy melody, whereas this song, not so much. It's just not as memorable melodically, although it's fine. You get used to it, but again, it's a typical example of a song that you don't really want to get used to at the beginning, but you're forced to by the sheer repetitive nature of listening to it over and over again. She's got such charisma, and I feel like on stage, like, she's someone I want to root for, you know? She seems like a really down-to-earth, like, sweet, humble girl who has very Disney Channel star energy about her. It reads very, like, teenager, and I know she's older, so it's a little strange that she's not, like, 15 years old singing this song. Like, I'll be completely honest with you, because it reads very much like 14, 15, 16, like that age group. And so I could see this song slipping through the cracks. And if I look at my listing, yeah, this is a song I do not really want to qualify considering the other entries. So sorry, Ireland, I just don't think that this is your year. No knock to Leslie, though. She seems really awesome. There's just stronger entries. Okay, so Israel. Eden Aline, who is a returning act from last year. And oh my gosh, does it get me really sad? I remember seeing her reaction to the contest being canceled, and she just seems so heartbroken. And Feker Libi may live on in infamy as the bop that deserved so much more. It deserved to be top 10 on Eurovision last year in Rotterdam. I really believe it would have, because she would have killed it on stage. What she's serving us this year with the song Set Me Free is unfortunately a downgrade, though personally, it's not that bad. You know, I'm like, some people, I don't know, people are saying it's like, it's a bad song. Like, we need to face the facts. We love Eden, but it's a bad song. I don't think it's that bad. I just think it's perfectly safe. However, I should be reserving my judgment on this track because as soon as a week from now, we are getting another revamp of this song. So in some ways, I really should reserve more judgment on it. I do have Israel qualifying just because I love Eden so much. And if I had to pick, it was like that one spot I really didn't know who to give it to. I gave it to her. It was that 10th spot. I was just like, this could go to other countries like Australia. I think Australia and Israel, it's like I could see them taking that 10th spot in this semi. But, or North Macedonia, that's the other big wild card, I would say, for this semi. But I would prefer over those countries to see Israel make it. And I think that with the right revamp, with more ethnic instrumentation, maybe, you know, changing up the way the chorus is syncopated and such with the OOOs, we've got a bop on our hands. And I think we have a successful entrant because, I mean, Eden is just star power. You can't help but love her. And she's really selling the song to you, even if it's not that great of a song. She's really selling it, even in the music video and the version we have right now. But I'm excited about the revamp. So, you won't really hear my thoughts on it until we actually get to the contest because I'm not going to be covering this song again until then, but hopefully I like the revamp and it improves on it. It's not an issue of where they ruined the song. I'm really hoping. Okay, Lithuania. So I actually thought of, because last year I made a video for every single entry individually and it was way too taxing for me. It actually made me fall out of love of making YouTube videos. So it's one of the reasons I didn't record as much last year. So of course now I'm grouping them all together, but I had thought of, because it's the one entry that I heard early on, like back in January or whatever, when it was released, maybe it was early February. The Roop is returning, the iconic electro dance group, and from Lithuania, and they are serving another stellar track. However, is On Fire, their entry from last year, a stronger song? Yes, I will agree. I think On Fire had a better chance of qualifying, a better chance of winning, more importantly. Discotheque is a little bit more divisive in that it is a little bit more inaccessible. And that worries me. Because I've heard some people say that this track really grates on them and that it's like they want to get into it, but they just can't. And I get it. It's not for everyone. It's a song that really jumps off the page. I mean, it leaves a lasting impression. It's dark, it's edgy, celebratory, but you kind of are left with this sort of quirky, you know, put together ensemble of characters, and they still are using this sort of tropey dance moves as a marketing technique, which I think is great to give the song a real staying power in people's minds, to make it stand out. And I definitely think it makes a lot of us want to do sort of, I hate that floss dance, but like it comes to mind. You know, they have way more original dance moves in the music video, which I highly recommend watching. The frontman, Vaidotas Vailakuvicius, oh my goodness. That man is serving. Like, that man is really serving, and he is just so easy on the eyes. Like, just look at the material. Like, if you look at some of the photo shoots and stuff, just like, talk about a man who just like is really, really well styled. Look at the material. Yeah, Vaidotas, I'm standing. I think that this is definitely like something that could just it has the appeal that's like apps like TikTok could really latch onto. It's just, like I said, it's very indie alternative in that it's like not really mainstream sounding. It's not like the typical kind of Eurodance song that people would expect. Whereas On Fire was still bizarre, but like at the same time, like very leaning into fun Europop stuff that you see on Eurovision. This is just so thunderous and like so edgy and kind of uncanny in parts, with the breathy vocals and the harsh like delivery of it in parts, the syncopation being just very unique. I think it's brilliant, but I don't know if the general public is going to love it as much. But this has to qualify. I mean, again, with semifinal 1, Croatia and Lithuania are the two musts. Spot number 1 and 2, please, they have to qualify. If neither or either one but not the other qualifies, they'll be very upset, especially if neither of them do. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I don't even want to think about it. Speaking of a country that I know is getting a lot of love right now is Malta with Je me casse, performed by the singer Destiny. This is one of the last entries we heard from the contest, and don't get me wrong, I get it. This is a bop, this is a fun song. It's mixing up a kind of different genres, and it's got a fun choreography. It's infectious. It's just something that's really well made for Eurovision. But I'm not feeling it quite like everyone else is. I still believe it's top 10 material, and if you watch my Eurovision ranking video, I do believe I still have it in the top 10. So don't come at me for saying, there's a couple other songs where I'm like, no, I'm not feeling this and everyone else loves it. I'm feeling Malta, but it's just like, I think out of semifinal 1, like everyone's just like automatically like Malta is the strongest entry. And I'm like, actually, Croatia and Lithuania would like to have words with you, as well as Sweden. Even Azerbaijan, I would honestly rank that above it. But Je me casse, what she's serving is indisputably good. Like, let's not get it twisted here. Titled in French, I Go Away, or I Break Off. There were some accusations of male objectification with the male model that was used in the video, which she is defending, which I think she should, in stating that this song is all about female empowerment, that's very clear from the get-go of the song, that the man is happily, in the position of playing the role of a guy that she's breaking away from and sort of flaunting her, prowess around and being comfortable in her own skin. Saying it's not about, not having men in our lives. It's about just like showing that we bring something to the table just as strong as you do. I get where she's coming from. I mean, pick your battles. I mean, seriously, it's one of those like debates and arguments that like sometimes I think has a tiny, tiny bit of merit because, you watch like the Ellen DeGeneres show and she's constantly bringing out guys in Speedos and like having them dance around and give lap dances to female, celebrities. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is crossing a line. But in this instance where the male model is obviously loving it. Like, let's be real. He is loving the spotlight on him, his physique. It's just a symbiotic relationship here, and I'm not feeling like any sort of seeing some female gaze stuff. I think is just still what we kind of need in media because of just how long it's been such hetero male gaze for so long, objectifying women. And it's not even like he's doing anything that provocatively sexual. He's just shirtless. He's just standing there. It's not like, he's like dancing sexually in like a way that like is, yeah, it's a bit of a reach, but people are going to gripe at something. But yeah, Destiny is just, oh gosh, such a fiery character on stage. And I know that she is going to bring a smile to everyone's face. It's just fun, catchy, like modern, everything contemporary, everything we're looking for. She'll do well and she deserves to. North Macedonia, another controversial entry because of an unfortunate placement in a video, which is actually and it's been taken down and edited. If you watch which I'll link in the description, if you watch my ranking of the 39 songs, and I placed this song in the middle somewhere, so I didn't know what to do with it. Here I Stand by Vasil. He's the returning artist again from last year. He had a song as well for the country. There's a display on the wall of this museum that he's filming in, which is in North Macedonia, but the colors that are displayed represent the Bulgarian flag. And that's a really touchy subject for North Macedonians. as there's some territorial disputes as well as some, cultural disputes between not only the Greeks, because North Macedonia and Greece have a whole thing. That's why they had to change their name to North Macedonia. But there's also a bit of a contention with Bulgaria, just with some of the ethnic similarities, cultural similarities, historical similarities, and claimages of different aspects of their culture. Their languages are very, very similar. And so the Bulgarian flag, a lot of people thought was a very brazen political statement. Vasil admitted he didn't even know it was in the shot, didn't really ever think about it after putting the video out. It was a complete mistake, and they edited it out, and this should go without saying, but they were cleared. Vasil was cleared to continue with the contest, because that would have been absolutely ridiculous if they had let that complaint allow him to be disqualified, like some people were calling for. And it's just in North Macedonia and Bulgaria, it's ridiculous. But anyway, it's a simple little thing. It could have tanked the song. Now, I will say, if the song had been sidelined, I don't think I would have missed much, because I know everyone didn't really like his entry last year, but I actually think this is a downgrade from You, which was this dance pop song that he sent last year. Because that song at least was infectious and catchy and rhythmic and sensual, had something going for it. But this song, he's trying so hard. The most paint by numbers ballad you could imagine. I mean, so generic. Now, we look at France last year with Tom Leb and The Best in Me and how generic that was. That song was rightfully painful to listen to, because it was just so like, what are we doing here? There's not even much vocal stuff going on. Vasil does have the vocal chops, though I'll admit there are a few moments where it's a little shaky, and I worry about his staging, like on stage. If it's a little shaky on some of the notes in the studio cut, then how shaky is it going to be on stage? I don't think it'll be bad. I think he's going to be strong, but yeah, I'm just not really feeling it. There's several ballads this year. To be honest, the ballads are not selling it for me this year. This is not the year of the ballad. There are no real ballads that I feel, besides maybe one or two, that like deserve any kind of recognition beyond being just paint by numbers, and appreciate it for what it is. But like I said, this is one I definitely could see not qualifying, because I just don't see a lot of excitement or hype around it. Vasil seems like a great guy, so it's a little bit of shame, because I think he seems like a really cool person and a really interesting performer, but he's just not doing himself much favors with this song. I don't really feel that empowered or inspired by it, but also I have to confess, I am not a real big Broadway musical fan, and this song sounds very Broadway. It sounds also a bit like a Disney song, and that's just making it feel very dated and predictable. So it's just not really a song I come back to. Sorry. Okay, Norway. Tix. T-I-X. I don't know how you pronounce it, if it's Tix or T-I-X. A new group, Justice for Ulrich, or Ulrika. I really, really loved Attention, and I really, really wish she got invited in a similar situation, like with Estonia or Sweden. She was just automatically sent to the contest if she wanted to. I'm very upset that we don't get to see her again, because she was top 5 material last year. Fallen Angel. I don't hate this song. I really don't. I feel like if I didn't, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, but I mean, it's unique in the staging. Like he's dressed as a literal angel, like Michelangelo angel. And then he's got all these dark angels like chained to him, like that are, the image is very stark. It's very dramatic. It's a little extra though. Like, come on, it's a little bit extra. He's got like a big thing of dice around his neck, which I think symbolically is really interesting. It's like, okay, talking about chance. I think this uplifting, empowering, bittersweet nature to the lyrics, but it all just feels a little bit like fake to me for some reason. Maybe it's because he has the sunglasses on. It's like he's like a surfer dude, but like dressed in this like very campy, Baroque angel costume, and I'm just not really sure what to make of him. It honestly seems a little bit like a joke. Because I could totally see like someone who's very like bro-y, like making a funny joke of Eurovision by like putting out something like, hey, what's the most jokey kind of Eurovision thing that you'd see in that Will Ferrell movie? Which I did see, by the way. It was really fun. It deserves that Oscar nomination for the song. What's the most Eurovision jokey thing we could make? and like, let's make it a comedy, bro. Like, let's pretend we're taking it really seriously. Like, oh my god, like this song's gonna like touch people's hearts, but like we're really just like high as fuck. Like that's really how this. That's how I'm getting a vibe from with Ticks. I could see it qualifying. I think I do. I have it as a qualifier. Again, it's that ninth or 10th spot where I was just like, okay, someone's got to take it. I'm not really rooting for you, but like at the same time, I guess I would give it to you over Ireland, or because it's like a catchy melody. His voice is okay. But it does sound very like boy band, and like it sounds very like Surfer Bro. It's giving me Switchfoot vibes. I don't know, like California, like Beach Boy rock. He's giving me that kind of energy, but like made for Eurodance music. It's a strange song. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know, I think it's a very middle of the road. People are sort of ambivalent towards it, but I guess I would get it through. Romania. Oh boy, this is the one really controversial opinion I have on the semifinal one. Roxanne with Amnesia, or Amnesia, as she says, and she pronounces it in the song. Roxanne is returning from last year. She sent Alcohol You, which was a clever title, but a song that just left a lot to be desired for me. Amnesia is at least, I'm pronouncing it like that, Amnesia is at least a little bit more alive and animated of a song. There's a little bit more going on with the production. It's a bit more up-tempo. There's room for some epic choreography, the styling in the music video. Billie Eilish comparisons aside, she's definitely taking some inspiration from Billie Eilish in the way she looks. The sound of this song, there is so much vocal manipulation on her voice. There is so much auto-tune. There is so much vocal reverb, and I really don't like when like pop artists today really rely on this. It's sort of like blending into sort of a trap music aesthetic where you sample the voice and have it echo in this reverb space, like kind of just as this like way to fill space in the song, but it's not really adding any element of atmosphere beyond just like like fake edginess to me. There's so much like what you see in like a very basic like Ariana Grande kind of type trap infused R&B pop song today that is tropes that you're seeing played out with Amnesia, and mixed with some Billie Eilish sensibility and styling. And I don't know, it's just not really selling the emotion and the darkness of it. People are going to really, I think, come hard at me for this because I'm seeing a lot of people love it, and she's sort of like hailed as like this really like great big pop star from Romania, and I'm just not buying it. It's really like, honestly, it's bottom 5 material. I'm revisiting that ranking video I made a week ago, and I already think I should slip it down a few spaces because out of the context of the contest itself, I'm just not enjoying the melody. It doesn't really have a melody. It's very meandering. Her voice is just very synthetic. I'm sure she has a great voice, but I don't know. She's relying way too much on the autotune, and it's not deliberate enough to feel like it's like Daft Punk or something. It's not like futuristic. It's just a trope of like pop music that I'm just not feeling. And so it's definitely modern and contemporary, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'm really sorry, but this is one I don't want to qualify, but I would be shocked if it didn't. And so, I guess if I had to replace Norway, I mean, I would give it this spot, but I really don't want this song taking the spot of any of my other qualifiers. And that's what really pisses me off about this semi, is it probably is. Anyway, Russia. Maniza with Russian Woman, a song entirely in Russian, which we haven't gotten from Russia in quite a while. Russia has not sung in Russian in quite some time. Apparently, she's actually from Tajikistan. She's an immigrant to Russia. So I like that she's bringing another culture and another country stylistically to the contest. Every Russian woman needs to know you're strong enough to bounce against the wall. It seems like a weird translation of like a motivational catchphrase that was then translated in the new version to be every Russian woman needs to know you're strong enough, you're going to break the wall. Yeah, I think the bouncing off the wall thing was a little bit like, I think that's a lost in translation thing. Don't be afraid, you're strong enough. There are some English bits in there. Oh boy, so the more I read into this and the research of this video, the more my heart goes out to this woman. Russia, as you know, is like a very heavily state-controlled media country, and apparently the government, an investigative committee, went after her for illegal content with the lyrics and the performance for, anti-Russian values and demeaning the dignity of Russian women and violating national harmony. Now, this has me really looking forward to reading the lyrics because I have not read the lyrical translation, so you're seeing this now. Field, 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 I am so small. How to walk through a field of fire? How to walk through the field if you're alone? Should I wait for someone's hand? But who will give me a hand, girls? For centuries, from night until morning, from night to night, we're waiting for a ship, waiting for the ship. Why waiting? Get up and go. Every Russian woman needs to know you're strong enough to bounce against the wall. Why are you so cocky, oh pretty girl? Are you waiting for a young man? You're in your 30s, hello, where are your kids? Well, you're pretty, but you better lose weight. Put on something longer, put on something shorter. Grew up without a father, do what you don't want. Are you sure you don't want to? You don't want, but you need to. Ah, listen, really, we're not sheep. Crows, please get lost. Now bear in mind, I don't blame you, and I damn love myself. They fight, they all fight in a circle, but they don't pray. The son without a father, the daughter without a father, but a broken family will not break me. Hey, Russian women, come on, vote for me. Yes, you're strong enough, don't be afraid. They fight, they all fight in a circle, but they don't pray. The son without the father, the daughter without a father, but a broken family will not break me. Wow. Okay. Wow. This is ballsy song for, her to send representing Russia. That investigation concluded and there was no evidence of foul play here. Thank goodness. I'm actually really surprised she got away with it because they will come up with anything to try and disqualify someone or to come under the thumb of the Russian government. Because this is a very feminist song for Russia to send. And, my hat goes off to her. I got a feeling when I saw the live performance that there was just something so cultural about it that was just so like gravitating, and that I love that this is one of those songs that you get from Eurovision that I wouldn't hear anywhere else and I would never find in any other way. And I really love when a song sounds so unique to the country it's representing. Like, this is one of those few really ethnic songs we're getting in this contest. It doesn't sound like it's actually really trying to placate for Western audiences or translate things for them. It's made for Russian people, Russian women specifically, and also, from her home country of Tajikistan, Eastern Europe and Asia. Like, there's just so much going into this, so much loaded into the lyrical content. Speaking about like broken families and the lack of a patriarch, and then the patriarchy itself, and the conflating of, women's values with the place in the home and gender identity and capitalism. Like, there are a lot of things coming into here that she's sort of sowing the seeds for that, oh my goodness, the Russian government will probably do everything they can to stifle her. Keep in mind, I'm not sure if this is the lyrics of the song that was released on Apple Music. I'm not entirely sure what lyrics were changed, but yeah, this just has like strong, like, rural female empowerment energy. It's a song made for the countryside of Russia and for the countryside of Europe. It's not so much like one of those inner city glossy, sensualized female empowerment songs, which it's nice to get the flip side of, because so much of it is like catered to that one demographic. And then on the other hand, like something that's more, ethnic and cultural and regional is going to speak more towards people who are not in the city. And I find a real affinity towards that, as I'm not a city person myself. And, there's elements of like, yeah, traditional, traditional like Russian folk music that I feel like is inspiring this, that makes it feel just like it's tapping into something old. And I really appreciate that. So, as I'm filming this video, I had originally said that I believe that Norway should qualify out of the 10 songs here. But I'm going to change my opinion and say that Russia should qualify instead of Norway. Now, do I think Russia will qualify? That is another question entirely. I think we have another Poland 2019 situation here where it is just not relatable enough to people outside of that country or to that kind of outside of Eastern Europe. It's not going to be popular. I really feel like people in the West are going to sleep on it because it's a Russian entry. She has spoken about just the amount of hate and vitriol that she has received for being Russian to begin with and representing that country, not even withstanding what the song is. Like, I really feel for her. So I worry that this song is going to struggle to stand out. And it's a pity because it really deserves to qualify. And the more I listen to the studio cut and everything, I mean, yeah, like I said, I think the staging of it will suffer because if there's not going to be a whole lot going on besides the staging setup they had on that Russian broadcaster performance, then it is going to be very forgettable. You know, a lot of traditional music, there's not a lot of music. They sort of stand in a circle and they might spin around or they might like do something with their hands, but it's not about like doing a certain kind of like really bodily movement kind of dance. It's more about like getting into that syncopated rhythm. And I don't think people outside of those, you know, regional areas of Europe are going to resonate with that so much. I find it really interesting, especially when women present it, as I'm just really fascinated by like female-driven folk music from like Eastern Europe in particular. So I have a lot to say, but boy, I am rooting for Russia now. It's grown on me. The song has grown on me. I like the rapping is fine. I think it adds some. It's, if anything, it gives it a bit of a contemporary edge to appeal to like the other aspects of Eurovision, and I think that might help it. You know, everyone loved when we incorporated hip hop into Italy a few years ago with Soldi. I think Russia's taking note, and I think they could really have something on their hands here. But again, don't really see the general public flocking to it. Okay, we've got 3 more songs to talk about, and I'm already over an hour. Goodness gracious. Slovenia, Anna Soklic. She is returning with Amen. This is one of 2 songs with that religious title. This is the weaker of the 2, and I do believe that this is a downgrade over what she sent last year, which was going to be called Voda, or Water. This song is mostly in English, unlike last year. The message of inspiration and hope and, you know, keeping your faith, I resonate with it, but at the same time, it's a North Macedonia problem. This song is really, and, you know, especially with the live version, it's really hard to get a grasp of the melody of this song. Like, there's so much about it that is so, like, you know, center the spotlight on her voice, and I'm sure the staging, it'll be probably just her, and like we're meant to focus really hard on it, and then the melody just falls flat for me. It's a lot of really great notes with nowhere to go with them. She's a great vocalist. I mean, she's got this like rich, you know, soprano alto voice. It's not like super high. There's a deepness to it, a richness to her voice, and there's pain to her voice as well. Like, you can really hear it in her voice, but I just am not being sold on what it's giving me. And it's unfortunate because I really wanted to like it. And unfortunately, because of that, I do not see this song qualifying, and I think that most people will agree. Sweden, the darlings of Eurovision. Guess what? They got to send another man again. Oh, I don't know anything about Tus or Tusa, the artist who is representing this year with his song Voices. The mamas have left the chat. Gosh, justice for the mamas. Like I said, it's a similar situation to Ulrika. They should have been given the chance to just automatically represent. Like Melfest, we could have done away with for a year or something, or they could have not sent their artist the winner this year and give it to the mamas or something, or they can sing backup for the mamas. I remember I said that in my Eurovision cancellation video. But I will say he is a, you know, person of color, and I just, judging by the styling and his voice, I'm like getting that energy. I'm sold. This is definitely like the kind of song you expect to hear at Eurovision. Exquisitely produced, exquisitely written, very paint by the numbers, but it gets the job done. It has star quality written all over it. Easily relatable. Juries will eat it up. The public will love it. And it's being sold by someone who I think is just this great character and intrigue, and I think that he has the stage presence to really bring it home. So, I mean, I see it doing really well. It's got so many parallels to my favorite from Eurovision 2015, A Million Voices, Paulina Gagarina. A Million Voices is even referenced in the song, except it's just called Voices. So it's almost a little too similar for me, but you know, it's a perfect theme for Eurovision. Like, all together we're stronger as one. Like, it's just so motivational and uplifting. You can't help but feel the energy. It's great for crowds. I could just see this taking us home on the stage. It's so qualifying. Like, there's no way it's not. Sweden always qualifies. Like, there's not a doubt in anyone's mind. Okay, and then finally we have Ukraine, Goa, or Go A, I don't know how to say it. Oh, Shum is the song we are getting. This song has been revamped and remixed to be a shorter 3-minute version from the video we got back in the winter. We've got them in these hazmat suits. There is definitely, I think it's 35 years this year since the Chernobyl incident in Ukraine. And so they actually filmed this video, I think, near Ukraine's Chernobyl plant. Shum literally translates to noise. Our noise has been a green fur coat. Chicks were hanging around having a good time and tore the coat. Sewing, blowing, hemps, sewing, blowing, green ones. Hey, come on, let's plate the noise and have a good time. Spread as a green periwinkle. Our noise has a green fur coat. This is a really traditional, infused lyrical song. The noise is an ancient game used to summon the spring season or a dance, and hemp is an important plant for Ukrainian agriculture and farming, particularly for textile and clothing. So if you recall last year's entry, Solove, like, there's so much ethnic inspired regionalism that brought that to the electro, techno, modern era that I thought was exquisitely done. I was rooting for them. I was really worried whether they were going to qualify or not in that contest, but I really hoped they would. And it's the same this year. I have Ukraine as one of my qualifiers. Please pull through. This year, though, I will say it's a similar discotheque situation where I feel like Goa and the Roop are two acts that I am really, really fascinated by. But I do think that they brought slightly weaker songs this year around compared to last year, and I worry that they're going in even more inaccessible directions, that it's going to, hinder their ability. Like I said, unfortunately, like, other country could pick up that spot, and I'd be very upset, like Romania, for example. And I don't know. I would be very upset. I really want to see them on the big stage, and what they can deliver. The song revamp, I think, was done really well. I actually do love both versions. I don't really have a favorite. It does get pretty high tempo, which is interesting, which, gets a little manic. It's using the traditional white noise or white voice singing, which is a traditional Eastern European way of singing, which is very high, nasal. It's a very unique style. It's not for everyone, but I find it, particularly from women, to be very hypnotic and very calming in a way. It's very powerful. There's something very arcane about, like, it seems like she's incanting some sort of scripture or some sort of spell upon us. And I get witchy vibes from the video where she's like, she's sort of like dressed in this like steampunk clothing, but it's like also witchy with her bandmates, and they're sort of like enchanting the people, the denizens of the woods, and they're kind of like creating this heathenistic ritual. It's everything I love about Eastern Europe twisted folklore, and they run with it, and they're unapologetic with it. They're not trying to be anything else but them. They're not trying to placate like modern audiences, even though they're very electro-modern in their sound with the production. They are a total package, and they are so what Eurovision is about for me. So please go through. With that being said, my 10 qualifiers are Lithuania, Sweden, Ukraine, Croatia, Cyprus, Israel, Azerbaijan, Malta, Belgium, and it was going to be Norway, but I personally am switching it to Russia as of the last minute. So that leaves, countries like Australia and Ireland and North Macedonia, Romania, Norway, Slovenia. Sorry, but I don't think they're going to make it, though. The one country that I do think has the best chance of making it out of those would be Romania. I really could see, I'd be very surprised if I got my way and all 10 of those countries went in. I could easily see Romania taking the spot of something like Israel or Azerbaijan, Russia. I hope not Belgium. The others, Lithuania, Sweden, Croatia, Cyprus, those are locked. Malta, those are locked. Those 5. The others I'm a little bit more worried about, like Ukraine and Belgium and such. But hopefully they bring it through. It's going to be competitive, and I'm looking forward to it. We haven't gotten a semi in 2 years now because it was canceled last year, and I'm going to wrap this video up. But I will talk about the semifinal 2 songs in another video. That should be coming out next week sometime, hopefully. And I hope you enjoyed this one. What songs do you hope qualify, and what is your ranking of the semifinal 1 songs? Let me know in the comments. Remember, this is all just my opinion. I love to see all of your thoughts. And I will see you in my next video. You all have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace, love, and light. Bye.